Now, ag is bad when it comes to wildlife, and I'm not saying ag in general. An agricultural area will push up deer numbers, it improves wildlife populations just because there's a little bit more food 365. But there are some big holes of ag, and a lot of those start in late October, November when harvest starts taking place. And so when it comes to our client visits, and Dylan and I talked about this morning, how when we're talking with clients, it's one of our most interesting conversations we look forward to, because it's kind of like, yeah, you have 160 acres, but you only have 40 acres of cover. So how much can you give us to actually promote and blow up your wildlife population, whitetail population on your land? I know someone recently that bought about 100 acres in Wisconsin. There's about 50 acres of ag. And I'm going to do my very best, because they have the means to get rid of all that ag land. They're surrounded in ag land, you know, ag land everywhere. So it's not about improving deer numbers or anything. It's just a matter of getting the most for your acreage. And some people say it's an investment, but there's a lot better investments out there that'll return a lot more for you than renting your ag land every year. So I look at it like, take that money, buy something else. You know, the land itself, a hunting land, appreciates a lot too. Maybe you just want to hold the ag in your portfolio, but bottom line is, the more you can convert for ag, the better. And we're going to talk about how to do that and how to do it in steps. And this is what we do for our clients a lot, because we don't want to leave them with a plan that, even have clients ask, well, when do I have you come back? Or when should you come back? Well, outside of them just wanting us to check up on how they did because they completed the plan 100%, you know, that's a reason people have us come back. But if they bought property, if they're expanding, if they're taking over a giant chunk of ag, those are all reasons. They lose a portion, they split the property, they divide it. There's a lot of reasons to have us come back. But when it comes to expanding ag land like this, then I want to produce a plan for them. And what we should be doing is producing a plan so that they can look at it and say, you know what? If I take more ag land, I just do this. I do more of the same. And I want to discuss doing this and what that really means. You can see right here, this corner. Now, this is not ag land that we own, so this isn't a choice for us. So in this corner right here, it's about 2 acres of switchgrass wrapping all the way around. And what they did in the past here, this is a giant food plot, and they stuck a redneck right behind me, right in the middle of the switchgrass. Very bad, because you couldn't come in and out of here without spooking deer. In fact, they drive the machine right over there. There's a red cedar cluster. They'd park probably about right there somewhere and just walk into it. Not a good recipe for hunting. So we want a good recipe for hunting. We planted this in switchgrass. We built the bedding area out on the point. Now we can actually hunt the bedding area. We can get through here, down a tunnel we have in the middle of the switch, not spook deer here, not spook deer in the woods, just slip by really quietly, and we can do that. This is first step. We have a lot of clients that'll screen off and they'll take 15, 20 feet of their edge, and now deer can feel comfortable 5 yards into the woods, where without the switch, we can see 5 yards, and not only see 5 yards, but where it's flat, we could see back 100 yards in the woods. The deer don't feel comfortable then until they're 100 yards back. So that switchgrass gives you that layer. So we have a lot of clients who'll say, yeah, we can give you 20 feet. With that, when it comes to ag, make sure that's a defined line in the sand when it comes to whoever's farming the property, maybe it's yourself, and the inside, because spray and farmers have a tendency to keep pushing back that line that you're actually trying to promote for wildlife, just naturally. I mean, the farmers want to get the most out of the fields and get the most out of their plantings, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you need to be very firm with, this is a line in the sand where you're not going to go past, and we want to have this planting. That's that first step. This is that first step. Now, if we own this ag, I apologize for cutting in the video. I'll try to keep this 20 seconds or less. But we're thinking about planting, and so is Lincoln at Packermaxx. And right now, he doesn't offer very many deals. It's $50 off. Check out the code WHS50. It's in the link in the description. Try them. Great product. Check it out. You won't be sorry. Let's say, okay, I want to add 3 more acres to this. So we'd pick a line somewhere out here, and just a line in the sand, and draw it out. Now, what are we going to do with this then? Well, then I might look at, well, maybe we can add a food plot back here, and that'll enhance the water hole movement right here. We'll stick this food plot out as far as we can against that line. We'd put 20 feet of switchgrass on the outside so that we can effectively screen off that food plot. We'd probably put a 1 acre food plot out here. That means we have 1.5 to 2 acres outside of screening that we can convert to bedding. So I'd probably put switchgrass pockets in the inside of this, just 1/8 of an acre, 1/4 acre. And then when it comes down to it, I'd even take out part of the switchgrass here, because I'm looking at, like, we're gonna put that food out here. We're gonna hunt it from the corners. Maybe I can come around, get to that point for a bedding area stand, but we're gonna turn all the way from this edge of food that would be out here back into bedding. So now I get deer actually bedding out in this field because I put the switchgrass pockets in, diversity pockets like we plant with big rock trees. Then when I get back there to a bedding area stand, it's 150, 200 yards in the woods, and I'm coming into it from an opposite angle. So then I can wait for the deer to come back to me. Now I'm actually setting an afternoon, evening stand by the food and enhancing a bedding stand back there. That's just taking 3 acres. Now this whole field right here, looking at it, might be 20 acres. You see the whole line of trees all the way around here. If I want to keep doing the same thing, I just take this line and just move it again. So we took 2 acres, then 3 acres, and we say, well, we want to take 5 more acres. We're getting a lot of deer back in this corner. We want more bedding, we want more food. So now we can have a 2-acre food plot, maybe a 2-acre central plot with a couple small hunting plots on either side. We're giving more depth back here to hold more bucks back on that point where we've created bedding and creating a lot of cuttings. And we're not really reinventing the wheel, we're just moving that line in the sand. When we move it back, gives us more opportunity for more food, side hunting plots. And what's really cool is if we have a food plot out here, so easy to convert to switchgrass pockets, diversity pockets, early successional growth, regeneration. So we're just expanding that bedding. The further we go out, we're just changing that line in the sand. We're not changing the overall plan, and that's how you can expand your ag. Well, there's a lot of people that say, it doesn't matter, whatever you say, we're gonna do. That's probably our most common phrase. Would you say, Dylan, or?
I would say it's a pretty good mix. I feel like some people are very, very hesitant to take away any agriculture, and other people are like, oh, that's why I hired you. I wanna know exactly how to turn this into habitat.
And what I find when they say that whatever it takes, it's an empty canvas. Those are some of the phrases. Whatever you recommend we're gonna do, I find that usually doesn't mean they want to take the whole 20 acres of ag. That usually means that, so our job as someone who's actually making a plan that we want clients to use, I look at like they're already paying us, we're already there. I find that there might be a better, more perfect plan out there, but this is gonna work and they need to follow it. And so after doing this, I mean, just Dylan and I alone are approaching 2,000 clients that we've gone to in over 30 states. And we have a really good track record. If they do the work, they find success. So I want you to do the work because you're gonna love hunting more, you're gonna really enjoy the land, all the improvements, and we just feed off that. It's pretty cool. So our job is to gauge your personality and to know when we're making recommendations, or that when we're toying with a recommendation, that we can gauge your reaction to how effectively and really how responsive you're going to be to making those
that's kind
recommendations.
Of my favorite thing is, if they say they've got 20 acres and they're going to give you the blank slate, I just act like I'm going to take all 20, and then I kind of gauge their reaction. Be like, okay, what if we scale it back to 10 if I get a little resistance?
Or even say like, you know, I'm kind of picturing that maybe you'd like 10 acres more than 20 acres or 5 acres. What do you think about that? And then they're like, oh yeah, that'd probably be better. I'd get that over on my spouse or my grandpa or whatever. But yeah, so it's our job to give them something realistic. And this is often a realistic. That first step a lot is, hey, go 30 feet wide all around your field edge or 20 feet wide. Take that back first. If you do this, you just establish that line in the sand. But bottom line is, don't ever think that because you have ag land on your property, unless you're the only ag land in the area and you have a big chunk of property and there's no other ag anywhere in the region, don't ever think that the more acres you have in ag, the better the wildlife. And there's not even a balance to it. If you have ag surrounding your property or appreciably in the area, even at 30%, then you're always better turning that ag land into wildlife. And that doesn't mean you need to plant thousands of trees either. You can effectively make this a bedding area, for example, just putting pockets of switchgrass and letting early successional growth take over. That doesn't even mean that you have to have those trees you have to rip out if you want to convert it to ag someday. You can manage it as low cover, low brush, low shrubs, briars, grasses, weeds, regen, pollinator. We have our pollinator boost blend that we sell through Pure Wildlife Blends. It's a great fill-in in those areas. And then that way, if you ever want to convert it back in a moment's notice, you can get it planted back into ag just in that season, that growing season. So it's a really effective way to put a line in the sand and make sure that you're getting the most out of every acre that you worked so hard to purchase and buy as it relates to actually creating a great wildlife parcel. And we see it around here a lot where without converting a lot of ag, you lack that depth to actually hold mature bucks in your land. You can fill your property with deer, but if you don't have that 300 to 400 yards that goes back into the cover some way in some side, you can do that with a 40 acre parcel. You have to have that depth that goes back where mature bucks can bed towards the back, intermediate bucks, and then does and fawns up towards the food. You have to be able to do that. So if your property is fragmented with ag, you need to fill in those holes, and you can make the most out of your property and explode your wildlife populations, not only when it comes to deer, but every other critter. We love our pheasants out here. We saw grouse yesterday, pheasants in the same drive. We have rabbits all over the place, lots of turkey nesting. And so we have all those indicator species out here because that 30 acres of ag that we could have out here is all wildlife habitat. If you do the same, you'll have a great hunt, a great herd, and a great wildlife population for years to come.